Hey guys, welcome back to From Halos to Tiptoes. Um, okay, so here what I'm making now, these are the straps, the tie straps for a mask. And those are going to look something like this. Okay, this is what we're looking for. The masks that I make are reversible, so it's important that my straps look good on both sides. I want them to be versatile and then comfortable to use as well. I don't use ribbon in my masks because I want these to be very wash and wear, and ribbon would eventually start falling apart in the washing machine. I feel like so I'm doing fabric ties for the masks that I'm making. Essentially, whether you use Cricut or just scissors, these are 2 inches wide, and these particular ones are 18 inches long. You could adjust that size, the length, especially if you're making them for children, you might want to shorten that a little bit. This is a pretty standard. Both my husband and I, we have different size heads, and we tried the ties with this length, and it works pretty well. So these are 2 inches by 18 inches. Okay. You'll see there's a crease in the middle here. Once you take these out, the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to fold these in half, and you're going to want to iron a crease down the middle. Okay, and this is kind of important. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want it to be pretty accurate, and you'll see why that's so important further down in the steps, but mostly because this is going to be a guideline for the rest of the folding, and you don't want it to be really uneven, because then when you fold your straps the rest of the way, they can be a little bit bulky. Now you're going to pop this back open. Okay, and the next step is to fold each side to meet the middle. Okay, now I have this on a steam setting because it really makes a difference with holding down the material, so be very super careful about putting your fingers in front of that point if you're using a regular iron, because it does get quite hot with the steam. And you're just going to fold it along down the edge and press as you go along so it doesn't keep popping back up on you and you don't have to try to just hold it all down. Okay. Oops. Get a nice, it doesn't have to be perfect. Most importantly, if it's not completely even, you don't want to go over that line, because again, when you fold the other side, it leads to a lot of bulk in the tie. Okay, so once you've done that side, I'm going to flip that over, and we'll do the other side. Same thing, other side. You're going to want to fold this down to where it meets the middle, the crease line that we created. Now you see why that was important. Okay, keep going down the line, pressing as you move along. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just want it to be relative. Try to get it even. That is your main goal, so it looks nice whenever you attach it. And these can be, you can use this method for bag straps. They can be different widths, different sizes, any little thing like that. So once you've got those pressed down, then you're going to want to take and fold the whole thing in on itself. So you're using that same crease line that we originally created, and you're folding the whole thing in half. Make sure that this part that you folded previously is tucked down inside. Okay, and now this is where I push down with my iron, and I want to get a really nice, good, solid crease that will hold as much as possible, because that saves you a little bit of energy on the sewing step. Okay. Again, making sure they're tucked. You do want to make sure that your ends are meeting pretty evenly. Okay. And then like I said, I press down. You can give it a little bit of steam. Okay. There we go. Okay, and then I lay these over to the side. You see I already have a few done. Again, like I said, I do all my steps one step at a time. It just makes the process a little bit quicker. Okay, so now we're back and we are going to finish up our strips. This is what the strip or strap tie is going to look like whenever it's all done. I've already sewn this one together. This is the one that we just recently pressed over there on the iron, and it's all folded and ready to go. For this step, you're going to need your straps, your ties, a pair of trimming scissors. I'm sure you have those handy if you're around a sewing machine. And one thing you might not have thought of that I like to use is some sort of a lighter or some sort of a flame source. And this is just going to be for the ends, and I'll show you that just in a moment, okay? So I always, for this particular thing, I like to use a zigzag stitch. It's just a little bit more sturdy and, helps to give a little bit of reinforcement so that your tie doesn't open up, especially since it's going to be being tied and untied. That's just my preference. You do whatever works for you. This is all about customization, so you want to do what you want to do the best. Okay, so with that, all I'm going to do, I have black thread in because you want to have a thread that's, going to match your material, because you are going to be able to see these stitches, as you can see on here. And you want to make sure that this is, again, nice and closed. And then you're going to just sew this together, okay? And now I do backstitch a little bit whenever I make these, but you don't necessarily need to, because you're going to be sewing these ends into your mask. So they're going to be secured once again, by sewing into the mask. So, but I backstitch out of habit. But if you miss that step, don't be completely worried about it, because like I said, they're going to be resecured into the mask. Snip away any little pieces of fabric or thread that are hanging around. And then this is the reason that I like to have a lighter. You definitely want to trim away any thread that you have around the part that you're going to heat with your lighter, because you don't want that to catch fire. And I like these with the long snout, because I'll heat it and then I use the snout to kind of tap up against it to push everything in place. And this is just to help keep your edges from fraying. That's all it really is. So just run it through the flame a couple times, and then, like I said, I tap everything. Okay, and then you have your tie strap. Okay, so again, I do all of these in the process. I cut all of my strips, then I press all of my strips in half, then I press all of them into this form here, the final form, and then I come over and I sew them all and have them all ready to go. That way, once I have my masks, I can bring them over here and then just attach strap after strap after strap. Hey y'all, okay, we are back from Halos to Tiptoes. And at this point in the process, we are going to be attaching our tie straps to our face masks. These face masks I made reversible. That was important to me because, especially healthcare workers and a lot of people who are out there on a daily basis, they're wearing these every day, and you just might want something a little bit versatile. Plus, for my particular pattern, I am using the second layer as a filter pocket. And I will be showing you the filters and how to make those and how to put those inside. For me, as far as being able to breathe, I felt like 4 layers was too much. There are tutorials on how to make the face mask with a filter layer itself. But I've used a cotton blend material, which is one of the safer ones to use as far as level of protection, and you have 2 layers of that. Plus you've got the filter, which the filters that I use are made out of 1900 strength HEPA, so they're pretty They're pretty strong filters. So again, the way I make these, and I make them with a pocket here, and that's going to be important when we're attaching these ties to our masks. So let's do the side that doesn't have the pocket first. I've already pressed and sewn all of this together, and we've already made our strips, or ties. So what you're going to do here, I always like to get my mask up here and kind of get it ready. And again, I use a zigzag stitch for this. And I tried to make all of my strips face the same direction. So it doesn't really matter which direction, but I just like it to look uniform. So I'm going to have the opening side facing me. Okay, you open your little tack here. I usually use my finger, or you can use the little measuring plate on your sewing machine, just whatever you want for a little bit of a measurement so that you're sticking them in about the same distance on each side. That just helps them to be more uniform as far as the length goes. So you're going to stick it into the little hole that we have on the mask and push it all the way over to the edge. And I've got it in there just past my finger width deep into the mask. Okay. Now, if you're going to sew a hemline all the way around this, the rest of your mask here, then you might want to do just a top stitch because you're going to go over it a couple of times. I'm not doing that because I've got these really well pressed, and again, because of the filter pocket being here, I want to leave plenty of room in there for whatever kind of filter someone might want to use. Plus, it's a little bit of a time saver because I've got quite a few orders. So, okay, so put that in there. You're going to sit your mask under your foot. And we're going to just sew that along. I'm going to go ahead and attach this one just a little bit, and then I'll put the other one in and we can go across. That just helps to keep it from moving. So, and I'm going to stick it in the other end of my mask, about a finger, a little bit past my finger width, trying to keep it a little bit uniform. And I'm going to move this up a little because sometimes it doesn't like to walk. You can always back up. Okay. All right. Here we go. All right. And there we go. You've attached your straps, and they're in there pretty sturdy. Both of them. Nice clean lines. Looks pretty good. Okay, then you're going to want to trim away any extra thread that you have from your sewing to make it nice and clean. Okay, now we're going to do the side that has, trim away some of my thread here. We're going to do the side that's going to have left open, optionally left open for the filter pocket. And it's pretty self-explanatory. Basically, you're just going to attach your straps and leave the rest of this open. You'll notice that I've already done a little stitching on the fold here on this end, just to keep those hemlines down because this side is going to be open. So you would do the same thing. You would just put your strap in about a finger's width, and then you would just sew just to the other side of the strap. I would go over it, and then I would back over it again. But just make sure you don't go too far in because you want to have plenty of room to be able to pop your filter in there. And of course, you're going to have to fold your filter in half and stick it in, and then you just kind of spread it out a little bit inside, and they go in pretty easily, especially depending on what kind you're using. All right, and so now we've added our straps, and your mask is almost finished. So, obviously, this is the end of our face mask tutorial. This should be your finished product. Now, this particular one, I have elastic around the ears. People have said that their ears get really tired with the elastic after a while, understandably. Also, a lot of places, elastic is almost impossible to find. And that's why I started to do the tie straps that I show you in the other videos. So it's your choice. If you use the elastic bands, all you're going to do is measure the distance that you want it to go, make sure it's a little bit tight, and sew it in just like you would the tie straps. And I want to thank you guys so much for following along. I hope that you hit like and subscribe, and I hope that you stay tuned for a lot more information and fun projects for me to share. Thanks so much.